Hello and welcome to episode 31 of A Tonic for Lunacy. I'm your host, Anna. And what we're going to be talking about today is memory. I'm going to start off talking about memory, but who knows where it's really going to take us, right? Because that's the beauty when you listen to this or watch it if you're on YouTube, is that we never really know where we're going until we've gone there. So, what I wanted to share was an interview that I listened to a little while ago with Doctor, Professor, all of the amazing things, Daniel Siegel. And I'm sure that a lot of you already know him because he's written some incredible books. His research on mindfulness and psychology and trauma and the nervous system has been really profound and quoted in a lot of different places. So he's really really fucking smart, just for lack of a better word. So he talked in this interview that I listened to, he talked about memory. And I found it incredibly fascinating. But before I tell you why I think it's so fascinating and so important, I want to read you my notes. So it's like you're there with me. Okay. So first thing he talked about was memory. What is memory? Memory is how an experience at one time will be encoded in our nervous systems and influence our future ways of thinking or recalling things or behaving. Okay, so memory is how an experience at one time is going to be encoded in our nervous system. What does that tell me? That tells me that even if I don't necessarily have a conscious memory of this memory, there is something about the experience that is being encoded in my nervous system. So those of you that know my story know that I have very little memory of my childhood, can't remember anything, not even sure I was there. But what really brought me to doing all of this trauma work was my experience with the way that my nervous system reacted to certain experiences that were happening in my current reality that created panic attacks and anxiety and all kinds of behaviors that were self-sabotaging and a disaster. But my nervous system was reacting to something that happened in my environment, right? So the example that I give and a lot of the things that I talk about is that I grew up in Israel. I was born in Israel and I lived there until I was 8. And while we were there, it was the Gulf War. So we spent a lot of time in bomb shelters wearing gas masks. And a gas mask was my trigger, right? I didn't consciously remember it. Like it's not something that I consciously think about. I don't even remember it, right? Like I don't remember being there. I know I was there. I don't necessarily remember it. So when my son got a costume of like a hazmat suit with a gas mask, it triggered my nervous system and I had a panic attack. I couldn't consciously remember it, but that didn't matter. The experience was still encoded in my body. And that's the part that is so important for us to remember, is that we don't always remember our childhood and we don't always remember it correctly, because memory is like a weird thing that people, doctors, explorers, scientists, whatever they call them, are still trying to figure out. Like memory can be influenced, right? This is something that with some of my clients, we play around with overlaying a different experience onto a memory to have the brain respond in a different way after we've done the healing of the experience in our nervous system. But the point is that memory can be incorrect. Memory can be made up. It can be influenced. But if we're listening to our bodies, the way that our body has encoded the memory is what's really important. That's what's really important. That's going to give us the information that we need to heal. Or I recently got this in a meditation. I do shamanic journeys with one of my coaches, Heather Allison. She's incredible. I talk about her all the time. And one of the things that I received was stop calling it healing. Stop calling it healing and start calling it restoring. Restoring the body's ability to create wellness. So I'm going to try to stop saying healing, but Old habits die hard. Okay. So that was the first thing. There's more. Perceiving things like bodily sensations, emotions that you have, behaviors like walking are all foundations of memories called encoding, which are then stored as memories. Now we have implicit and explicit memory. So implicit at a deep level, this is a feeling tone in pure form. When retrieved, we don't have the feeling that, oh, I'm remembering this. It's just, oh, I'm already doing this, even though you're retrieving a memory. Okay. The next step is the explicit memory. So this is the right side of the brain. This is called episodic or autobiographical. And this is remembering yourself doing something very specific. The left side is going to be factual memory. I know for a fact that I did this, but I don't have a feeling of myself doing this in a particular time. I just know that it happened. I know that I did it. When these are stored and retrieved, then you can say, oh, yes, I remember I was there. We're matching the trigger with the stored emotion, the stored memory, right? Like, oh, I know why this triggers me because I remember when I was 5 and we went to here and we had this experience, right? And this is what I felt. That's implicit. Explicit is like, I remember exactly what happened. I remember walking to the door. I remember walking my dog. I remember doing this. I remember what it is, not necessarily how it felt. So when we can match our implicit memory to our trigger, we can start to make sense of it. So I might not know why this triggers me, but this has triggered something in my nervous system. And therefore, I am retrieving a memory, but I don't know that I'm retrieving a memory, right? Okay, let me keep reading and then I'll talk about it. Some people only have implicit memories. I don't know why, but there is a feeling of familiarity, right? Like flashbacks. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like I've been here before. Hypothesis is that the hippocampus during trauma is flooded by cortisol and it temporarily shuts down. So we block the explicit encoding and only have the implicit encoding. This is so important, right? This is why when we're traumatized, we don't remember our memories, right? We don't remember things that happened. So I don't have memory of my childhood for, lots of different reasons, I think, but partially it's because of trauma and the ongoing complex PTSD, right? The ongoing stress on my nervous system that left me in survival nonstop for 30 plus years, right? In that freeze, mostly in that freeze state. So my brain was not storing any of those explicit memories. It was storing implicit memories, right? I have feelings. I mean, that's some people disagree, but I have feelings of those memories, but I don't remember those memories. I know I was here. I know I've seen you before, but I don't remember. But I don't remember the memory explicitly. I don't remember doing the things, walking, being there. I don't remember that, right? But my nervous system remembers it. That's what they mean when they say your body remembers everything. The body keeps the score, right? Because even though your mind has blocked out or did not encode those explicit memories, your nervous system has encoded them implicitly, the feeling, the emotion. Okay, so where am I? Implicit memory is unconscious when it's stored, but it is remembered consciously as an emotion in the present. We just don't know that this is from the past, but fully in awareness as emotion, behavioral action, sensation, mental model, or belief. It's just a feeling about a memory. Can begin integrating implicit to explicit, then moving into an integrated narrative, finding meaning in the memory. So just that feeling of that implicit memory can begin to start integrating the implicit to the explicit, right? Oh, I have this feeling that I've been here. Now I can try to remember the memory, and then it encodes it explicitly. And I think that this is where sometimes memory can be tricky, or it can be changed, altered, when we're encoding the explicit memory from the implicit, right? And we are using our current right now awareness, consciousness, if you will. What's more important? Oh no, this is something different that I will get to in a second. Okay. So the point of this, why are you sharing this, Donna? Well, first of all, it's fascinating. Second of all, it gives a lot of awareness around memory and why we don't remember certain things. But most importantly, it tells you that even if you don't remember, and this is my work, right? This is why I do what I do. Even if you don't remember what happened in your past, even if you don't remember what created this thing here, like if you're looking for the root and you just can't get there, those of you that do shadow work with me, if you're looking for the root and you just can't get there, we work with the emotions. We work with the implicit memory of, well, something happens, something's here, there's a trigger here. And the way that we start to heal with that is this quote sums it up. This is a quote by Hilary Jacobs Hendel. And it's about emotion, right? It's about, actually, yeah, let me share it. Okay. And then I'll weave it all in together and tell you how this all makes sense together. The point is that we're trying to heal our nervous systems, right? And we heal our nervous system, especially if you don't have memory, by allowing ourselves to feel our implicit memories, by allowing ourselves to feel the emotions that are coming up. It's okay that I'm triggered by this thing. I'm obviously triggered by this thing because my body remembers something. And we can't control that trigger, right? I think that this is where a lot of people have a hard time. They're like, well, why can't I control this trigger? Why can't I just not be triggered by this? And I had a conversation with one of my clients about this recently where she said, well, I just want to not be triggered by this. Well, we're going to be triggered by things, and that's okay. It's not, the trigger is important. It's important information. We don't need to fix it. We need to figure out how to respond to it. So this is the quote by Hilary Jacobs Hendel. You can't control your initial emotions because they happen in the limbic system. Our core emotions make us move through the autonomic nervous system. So it's out of our control. We cannot condition fear out of our systems, but we can control our reaction to that core emotion. When we have anxiety and we are not aware, we start trying to control everything else around us instead of working with our anxiety, right? We try to control everything instead of letting our bodies feel those emotions. There is something here that is triggering me. It's an alarm. It's an alert. It's like, right? It's trying to tell us something. It's trying to tell us that there is my belief, well, the belief in the spiritual world, right, is that the universe is constantly trying to maintain homeostasis. So when we receive this alarm that something is going off, we're triggered. This is triggering an implicit memory, an emotion. It's, I might blow up, right? It's an alarm that's going off because the universe is trying to create homeostasis. We're trying to create balance in the body and balance out there, right? Out here in our environment. And the only way that we can create balance with this thing that's been in our body for years and years and years is by seeing it out there so that we can work through it. If you're watching this on YouTube, something totally just like flew by my face. I'm going to have to rewind and watch that again. I will take that as confirmation. The universe is trying to create homeostasis. Therefore, these things are showing up. These triggers are showing up in order for you to restore. See, I use that instead of healing. Restore your body's ability to create wellness and balance. Restore your brain's, your mind's ability to create comfort, right? To create balance as well, to not overthink, to not create drama where there isn't any. The key, right, to healing, if you will, or restoring, is not to not have feelings anymore or to not be triggered anymore. It's to be able to create, to create a bigger capacity for emotions, right? These things trigger me, but I'm able to bounce back, right? I see something I don't like and I can fix it, or I can work with it, right? I allow myself to feel my feelings so that my body doesn't close in on itself and create disease and illness, because it can't create that homeostasis if we're not dealing with our feelings. Therefore, the pendulum swings one way or the other and creates disease. So, lastly, what I wanted to share here is what's more important than what happened to us if you can't remember your feelings, if you can't remember your emotions specifically, if you're trying to get to that root, what's more important than what happened to us is how our nervous system is currently being affected by these things that are triggering our implicit memories. How are we recreating similar scenarios from the past in order to create that balance? And how do we currently in the present restore our body's natural rhythm for healing, right? So the first step is becoming aware of it. So I think that, like, what would be a cool experiment, line threes and sixes, is to, instead of looking at triggering events as like, I am triggered, but instead looking at it like, what implicit memory is this triggering for me? And what is here for me to explore? What is here for me to expand into? What is here for me to dive deeper into? What's the message that's here for me? I mean, what we do a lot of times when we're doing somatic healing, somatic therapy, somatic feeling, regulating the nervous system, is that we go into the body. What's the feeling here? What does it physically feel like? And what's the emotion? But then what's the message, right? What's the message that this pain, that this uncomfortable feeling is trying to give me? What's the message here? And I think that piece is really important too, because we can learn so much about what's happening inside our body when we begin to give our body a voice. So while we are already talking about emotion, I saw this quote by Ra, Human Design, weaving it all in beautifully. I saw this quote by Ra that I wanted to share. The great distortion in the world. Where the great distortion is in the world is, of course, in the open emotional system. What we know about the open solar plexus is its basic strategy, and perhaps one of the most dysfunctional not self strategies that emerges. I say that simply because we are here to be with the other. This is the avoidance of confrontation and truth. The avoidance of confrontation and truth means that it is not possible for these beings, particularly the vast majority, so absorbed in the not self realm, it's not possible for these beings to really end things so that they can begin anew. I'm going to take a pause right there and just say, think about when you're doing your shadow work. Think about when you're doing your trauma healing, your trauma restoration, whatever. And where is it hard for you to let go of certain identities, certain victim mindset, certain beliefs? Where is it hard for you to let go? Because of the fear, because of what it might feel like, right? There's so many different reasons. So that's how I'm kind of taking what Ra is saying here to me. I know that he probably means 1,000 different things, but that's how we're gonna take it right now. So the avoidance of confrontation and truth means that it's not possible for these beings, particularly the vast majority, so absorbed in the not self realm, it's not possible for these beings to really end things so that they can begin anew. It's very, very difficult for them. It's possible, but it's difficult. With the spleen, the fear is about what action is going to be necessary, what strategy is going to be necessary. But when you're operating at the emotional side, This nervousness is about consequences, because consequences will bring a wave. That's why there's this avoidance of confrontation, because confrontation brings a wave. Confrontation brings a wave. So even if you are emotionally defined, even if you're emotionally defined, the fear can be the consequences. If I feel my feelings, what is the wave that is going to be created within me? And maybe I fear my own wave because I have been taught by my caregivers, by the world, that it's not safe to have emotions. It's not safe to feel my emotions. It's not safe to share my emotions, right? I've worked with a ton of people who are emotionally defined that cannot talk about their emotions. They don't know what they're feeling, even though they have that definition to the throat, right? This is who you are. And when you're undefined, it's like, I can't allow myself to feel this feeling. I can't allow myself to feel this trigger, because that's going to create a wave. It's going to create a consequence, a reaction. And that's what we fear. But it's like, if we don't, it just continues. And then what? We just keep repeating these patterns over and over and over and over and over again. So that's why I'm offering you this different perspective of looking at emotions and triggers, right? If I'm triggered by this, what's the implicit memory that is coming up for me to restore homeostasis? And then being so aware of whether you're emotionally defined or undefined is my inability to be here with it because I fear the consequences of amplifying somebody else's wave? Or is it the fear of my own wave? And what do I know about that? What have I learned about that? It's all about deeper exploration. It's all about deeper exploration. And regulating the nervous system so that we can increase our capacity to hold, to be alive, to feel, right? I want to invite you all to join me on Instagram for Human Design Shadow. At Human Design Shadow is the new brand. It's the new brand. So excited about it. We're doing some giveaways. We're doing some fun things this week. This is the week of May 15th, 2023. So come over and check us out, like, follow, copy, paste, I don't know, do all the things, subscribe. We would love to have you over there. That's where all the shit's going to go down. Eventually, everything is going to get migrated from my personal account to that account. This is the new quantum human design. This is the new gene keys. It's shadow work using human design. It's nervous system regulation using human design. It's the restoration of our well-being using human design. So we pride ourselves on not giving you the basic bitch human design shit. We give you, all of the nuances, right? We show you how to work the system in a different way, because we're line threes and we adapt. By we, I mean me. We change it, right? We change things. As a 1-3, some of my work is built on the backs of the greats that have come before me, Ra Uru and Richard Rudd and Karen Curry Parker and all of the amazing people. But I change and I alter and I adapt because I'm seeing what the collective needs. I'm seeing what the collective needs. So right now I'm writing a book on the human design shadow, on how to do shadow work using human design, how to restore your nervous system, how to restore your body back to health using human design. Why do we use human design? Because many reasons. 1, because it works. 2, because it's fun. 3, because the certainty that human design provides our brains is what helps us create long-lasting change. And it's going to help you see yourself from a completely different perspective, which means that you can restore from a bunch of different perspectives in a bunch of different ways. Faster, better. That's what we want. Faster, better, more, less, whatever you want. Anyway, so join me on Human Design Shadow at Human Design Shadow on Instagram. I will drop the link, obviously. And the best place right now to hang out with us and learn all of this is in Shadow Stripper School. I just dropped the full Dream Rave training in Shadow Stripper School. I'm answering a bunch of Dream Rave questions on Facebook. You're free to ask me all of your questions when you sign up for Shadow Stripper School. But also, there's so many other modules in there where I teach you how to do shadow work using human design, how to heal your nervous system using human design, how to work through your triggers and relationships using human design. We talk about composite charts. We talk about trauma loops, how I trigger this person based on my shadow and their shadow, and it just keeps going back and forth, and how to heal that, how to do shadow work on relationships. There's so much good stuff in there, and there's more good shit that's being added every month. So I will also drop the link to Shadow Stripper School. It's going to be like the place to be. Literally, this is like everything for me, Shadow Stripper School. Like, I had someone tell me, don't focus on Shadow Stripper School. It doesn't make that much money. It's not at a high price point. Focus on the human design shadow training, which it is at a higher price point, because that's where I teach you how to do the work that I do, how to do shadow work for your clients using human design. That is the in-depth training. It's like a certified, if I can figure out how to do that, human design shadow worker, essentially, is the human design shadow training. So yes, that's at a higher price point, because I'm going to teach you how to make money doing it. And it's like should be a college course. But Shadow Stripper School is like the love of my life. Like, she is like my baby, right? It is like everything you need to know, whether you are on a personal journey of healing, just because you want to be better, because you want to learn about yourself, because you want to solve the mysteries of who you are, or because you want to grow a business and you know that you need to work on your shit, right? Whatever you need, Shadow Stripper School has it. And if it doesn't, you let me know and I'll make it. I'll add it. That's the fun of it, right? That's what I love about being a man gen. You tell me what you need, I will respond. And if it's a yes, I will create it for you, and quickly. So Shadow Stripper School is where it's at. We have live Q&As every month where you can ask us anything, share your charts, Facebook group, workbooks, meditations, exercises that you've probably never seen anywhere. So I will drop the link to that. The human design shadow training, if you want deep, all the nuances. No basic bitch human design regurgitation happening here. I'll drop the link to that too. Our next cohort starts in September, but you get some pretty amazing bonuses if you sign up now. All right, that is it for episode 31. Let me know what you guys think. This one's about memories and triggers. And I think I went a little bit, had some, went a little bit off on different rants, but that's what we do here. All right, I'll see you all next time. Thanks for being here. Bye.